You ever wake up feeling broke, even when your wallet is full? For centuries, thinkers have wondered, what if wealth isn't just a number, but a mental state? Something deep inside you controls your wallet far more than any calculator or spreadsheet ever could. Every time you make a purchase, every time you hold money, you're not just moving cash, you're moving emotion. You work hard, yet wealth feels just out of reach. The gap between your goals and your reality widens. The way your mind sees money changes the way you live, love, and even dream. If your mind is the true source of your wealth, who is really in control? Are you the master of your finances, or are you being led by other forces? In the next few minutes, you will discover the psychological forces that dictate your economic behavior. You will learn to see money not as a cold number, but as a state of mind you can finally understand. Let's begin with a simple experiment. Look at a $20 bill. Now, imagine it is a gift from a friend. Feel the difference? That is your money psychology at work. The bill is the same. The value is the same. But your emotional response changes completely. This is the core of behavioral economics. It studies how your mind, not the market, makes financial decisions. Your brain has two competing systems. The first is fast, emotional, and automatic. It reacts to fear and desire in an instant. The second is slow, logical, and deliberate. It plans for the future. Most of your financial choices are made by the fast system. The slow system often shows up only to justify the decision later. This is why you buy things you don't need. It's why you panic sell during a market drop. The numbers don't change your mind. Your mind changes the numbers you see. Consider the concept of loss aversion. This is the idea that losing $100 hurts more than gaining $100 feels good. It is a powerful, irrational bias. It explains why you hold on to a losing stock for too long. You hope it will come back, to avoid the pain of realizing a loss. It also explains why you cling to a job you hate. The fear of losing a paycheck outweighs the potential gain of a better career. Your brain is wired to avoid loss, even when it means missing out on greater wealth. Now, think about the stories you tell yourself about money. These are your mental narratives. You might believe rich people are greedy, or I'm just not good with numbers. These stories are not facts. They are psychological scripts. They guide your behavior without you even noticing. If you believe money is evil, you will unconsciously sabotage your own success. If you believe wealth is only for the lucky, you will never take the necessary risks. Changing your financial reality first requires changing your internal story. This brings us to the power of framing. How you present a choice changes the choice you make. A 90% success rate sounds good. A 10% failure rate sounds risky. The information is identical. Your brain, however, reacts to the frame. This is why sales pitches focus on what you gain, not what you avoid. It is why you are more likely to invest if you hear about the potential for growth, rather than the risk of loss. Your perception is shaped by the lens you are given. Your environment is another silent architect of your behavior. The places you spend time, the people you talk to, the stories you consume, and the apps on your phone all nudge you. This is called choice architecture. A cluttered kitchen leads to poor eating habits. A cluttered budget app leads to financial neglect. A friend who talks constantly about getting rich quick will influence your investment choices. You are not making decisions in a vacuum. You are responding to the world you have built around you. Your information diet is a key part of your financial diet. Curate it with intention. To change your financial behavior, you may need to change your social environment. This is where the concept of mental accounting comes in. Your brain does not treat all money as equal. You might see a tax refund as free money and spend it frivolously. You see your salary as earned money and are more careful with it. The money is the same. The account it comes from is different. This mental separation leads to irrational spending. You might save diligently from your paycheck, but blow a windfall on a luxury item. To build wealth, you must learn to see all money as one pool of resources. Another critical bias is the availability heuristic. You judge the likelihood of an event based on how easily you can recall examples. A plane crash feels more dangerous than a car crash because it is more vivid in your memory. This affects your financial decisions. You might avoid the stock market after seeing a news story about a crash. You might invest heavily in real estate because you know someone who got rich from it. Your brain is using emotional shortcuts, not statistical analysis. This can lead to poor diversification and excessive risk. The sunk cost fallacy is a powerful trap. You have already invested time, money, or effort into something. You feel you must continue to justify the past investment. You stay in a failing business because you've already spent years building it. You keep watching a bad movie because you paid for the ticket. In finance, this means holding a losing investment for too long. The rational choice is to cut your losses. The emotional choice is to double down. Your mind will fight the rational choice with every fiber of its being. Now, consider the concept of future self. You view your future self as a stranger. You make decisions for today that burden the person you will become. You save for retirement as an abstract idea. But the pain of saving now feels real. The reward of a secure future feels distant. This is a temporal disconnect. To overcome it, you must make your future self feel real. Visualize your older self in detail. Imagine the gratitude you will feel for the choices you make today. This emotional connection can bridge the gap between present desire and future benefit. Let's talk about the illusion of control. You believe you can predict and control complex financial systems. You study charts, listen to experts, and think you have an edge. This confidence often leads to overtrading and unnecessary risk. The truth is, much of the market is unpredictable. Acknowledging this is not pessimism. It is realism. It leads to a more disciplined, long-term approach. You stop trying to outsmart the market and start managing your own behavior instead. The way you label money also matters. Calling it disposable income makes it easier to spend. Calling it financial freedom fund makes it easier to save. Language shapes thought. The words you use in your internal dialogue have a direct impact on your actions. This is why financial coaches often recommend changing your vocabulary. It is a simple but profound tool for rewiring your money mindset. Your physical state affects your financial choices. When you are tired, stressed, or hungry, your self-control weakens. You are more likely to make impulsive purchases. You are less likely to do the hard work of budgeting. This is not a moral failing. It is a biological reality. Your prefrontal cortex, the seat of rational decision-making, is compromised by fatigue. Good financial habits require a foundation of physical well-being. Sleep, nutrition, and exercise are not separate from wealth. They are prerequisites for it. Now, let's consider the power of small, consistent actions. Your brain is wired for instant gratification. The slow, boring process of building wealth feels unrewarding, but compound growth is a mathematical reality. A small, regular investment can grow exponentially over time. The key is to automate the process. Remove the daily decision. Set up automatic transfers to savings and investments. Let the system work for you, not against your impulsive brain. This is how you build wealth without relying on constant willpower. Your identity is the final piece of the puzzle. Do you see yourself as a saver or a spender, an investor or a debtor? Your financial behavior will align with your self-image. If you believe you are bad with money, you will act in ways that confirm that belief. To change your finances, you must first change your identity. Start calling yourself a person who makes smart financial choices. Your actions will eventually follow your new self-story. This is not about blaming yourself. It is about understanding the system you are in. Your mind is a product of evolution, designed for a world of scarcity and immediate threats. It is not naturally suited for the complex, abstract world of modern finance, but it is adaptable. You can learn its quirks. You can recognize its biases. You can build systems that work with your psychology, not against it. The goal is not to become a perfect, emotionless robot. It is to become aware. Awareness is the first step toward choice. When you feel the urge to make an impulsive purchase, pause. Ask yourself, is this a need or a want? Is this decision coming from my fast brain or my slow brain? What story am I telling myself right now? This moment of pause is where your power lies. This understanding transforms money from a source of anxiety into a tool for self-discovery. Every financial decision becomes a chance to learn about your own patterns. Every mistake becomes data, not a verdict. You move from a state of reaction to a state of intention. The journey to financial well-being is an internal journey first. It is about aligning your daily actions with your deepest values. It is about building a system that supports your long-term goals. It is about recognizing that wealth is not just about the amount in your bank account. It is about the freedom, security, and peace of mind that money can provide. You have walked through the architecture of your own mind. You have seen how loss aversion holds you back, how your stories script your future, and how your environment nudges your choices. You understand the fear of missing out, the social contagion of desire. You see how mental accounting, the availability heuristic, and the sunk cost fallacy are not just theories. They are the silent currents in your daily life. The slow brain and the fast brain are not enemies. They are partners you must learn to negotiate with. This is not just about money. It is about the story you are living. You are no longer a passenger reacting to the numbers on a screen. You are the architect. You see the blueprints of your biases. You feel the weight of your environment. You recognize the voice of your future self, waiting for you to make a choice. This awareness is not a burden. It is the foundation of your freedom. The first step is not to make a grand plan. It is to pause. Before the next purchase, before the next anxious check of the market, ask yourself one question. What story am I telling myself right now? This single moment of inquiry is where you reclaim your power. It is where you shift from reaction to intention. You came here seeking a strategy for wealth. You are leaving with a strategy for the self. The numbers will follow the mind that understands its own language. Your financial life is not a separate ledger. It is a living, breathing reflection of your inner world. To change the reflection, you must tend to the source. True wealth is not found in the account, but in the understanding that you are the one who decides what the account means.